Okay, go ahead and pause the video and do your homework check and then turn that in to me via email. Chapter 1, Lesson 2 is measuring line segments. Go ahead and pause here and take down these definitions in your notebook. All right, when we go and use a ruler here, when our ruler is set up, we have this side is the bigger markings. That's our inches side. And then this one we use is our centimeter side. So it says use a centimeter ruler to find the length of each segment. I don't know if I have a ruler option here. Let me pause. Okay, unfortunately, there is no way to measure things on Kami, and so I just have a ruler, which you're not going to be able to see, but I'm going to put it on the line segment from C to D, and if you did it correctly like I did, I got this to be 5 centimeters. Now, the difference is how far I have this zoomed in. So hopefully it reads 5 centimeters also on your computer. Then this one I measure 8.5 centimeters. All right, for the midpoint, according to our definitions, if I want the midpoint, it's the point in the middle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure MN, which I get to be 6.5 centimeters. And then I want the midpoint, which is the halfway point, so I'm going to cut it in half. And that would give me 3.75 centimeters. Same thing for JK. When I measure it to be about 8.5 centimeters. It's just kind of closer to 9. So I'm going to divide that by 2, and I get 4.5 centimeters. Okay, now we're done with the ruler, which is great because it doesn't really work very well on here. But now we're just going to be using numbers using the distance formula. And so for the distance formula, it said to do the absolute value of 0.1 minus 0.2 absolute value. So part 3 says find the distance between point M, so point M is at -7, and point N, which is at -1. And when I do the math on that and then do the absolute value, I get 6. Find the distance between N and P. N is at -1 minus P, which is at 4. So the distance between them is 5. Use your answers to exercises 3 and 4 and segment addition. So segment addition, was that on our thing here? Oh, it was. Take 2 smaller segments and add them together to get the larger segment. So if I take this segment here plus this segment here, that would give me a total of 11. Number 3, find the measure of each segment, and it wants LM. Well, L is at -1, M is at 3, which would give me 4. MJ. M is at 3, J is at -7, which would give me 10. KN. K is at -5, N is at 6, that would give me 11. JN. J is at -7, N is at 6, which is 13. In order to find the midpoint, we need to know what the distance is, and then we're going to divide it by 2. So I need to add the parentheses here because there's more than one thing in my numerator. So for KL, I'm going to do -5 plus -1 and divide that by 2. So the midpoint in between those is -3, which is pretty easy to see. In between JK, you can already see it, but I'm going to go ahead and solve it. So -7 plus -5 divided by 2 gives me -6. M and N, again, is pretty easy to see, but I'm going to do 3 plus 6 divided by 2, which is 4.5. And for LN, I'm going to do -1 plus 6 divided by 2, which is 2.5. A carpenter must cut an 8-foot board into 2 pieces. The length of one of the pieces must be 3 times the length of the other. Make a drawing and write a segment addition equation to model the board lengths. So I have this 8-foot board. So its total is 8 foot long. And I'm going to cut 2 pieces where one of them is going to be 3 times the other. Well, I don't know what this one is, so I'm going to give it X. And I know that this one is 3 times it. So for my addition equation, I'm going to say that X plus 3X needs to equal 8 feet. Do we have to solve it? It doesn't say anything about solving. Oh, it does here. What is the length of the shorter board? So I need to solve for X. So by combining like terms, I get 4X equals 8. And dividing by 4, I get X equals 2 feet for the shorter board, which means 6 feet for the longer board.